need your password.
You can use mine to get on the internet.
Hot digits.
Welcome to Pilogist, episode 502.5. The point in the episode where I forget to look us up every time and I stall trying to think of the pun with which we used for podcast title in word blank breakfast of digital feedback.
Feedback of digital champions.
What was the arc?
What was the arc?
DATS intro part 2 feedback. Pilogist is your critically nostalgic analytical tour through the Digimon anime. I'm Jeff Ruberg and I have the crest of poorly developed improvisational skills that I haven't honed since my improv club in the first year of high school over a decade ago. Ashley.
I'm Ashley, and I have the crest of I'm gonna murder Jeff.
We did not spend 20 minutes setting up this recording that isn't even live and is way overdue. Anyway, let's dive into the feedback. So first off, we have our weekly-ish question that we asked for in podcast 502. And the question was, if your emotions summoned a Digimon to the real world, which Digimon would it be and what would that Digimon do? And we should start off before we get into the questions. We have a bunch of responses on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr. But I was trepidatious about this question because...
Wait, why?
Because I feel like it's basically inviting people to be like, what is your biggest vice? Like, what is your biggest emotional trouble? And, how would it be... Because it's not good things.
I don't make them answer the question.
It just seemed like I was like, I don't know about this one, but I guess we're going through with it.
So I saw that a lot of people copped out the question and were like, I don't know, but I hope it would be Darumon.
Okay, let's just read the responses and not to make fun of them before we go. Okay, so starting off on Twitter, let's go back and forth each, alternate.
Oh, I'm first?
Yeah, you start.
Okay, Rihanna at Rainbow09 says, Skull Greymon, especially when my neighbors wake me up at 6 a.m. on Sundays with their yelling.
That's pretty good. Yoshi of the Wind, or at Yoshi in katakana, at Yoshi of the Wind said, I would want Guilmon, but I would get Gomamon.
I'm trying to figure out what that one meant.
Yeah, why would
What's wrong with Gomamon? Kari is my favorite. At Jackals31 says, my emotions would summon Gatomon, and she would let me pet her to make me feel better. Emoji with hearts. Heart eyes emoji.
More specifically, it's a cat face with heart eyes. I didn't know that was an emoji. Apparently it is a thing you can do now.
I can't keep up with the emojis.
I was worried about people only writing about their vices but this is a good, if this is your deepest desire is to pet.
Yeah, maybe your deepest desire is a good thing, Jeffrey.
Yeah, no, that's not possible.
That's not possible.
Steve, parentheses, homoneurotic, at the homoneurotic said, is I want a Patamon friend an emotion? Cause
Ramon Castro at Digimon Fan for Life says, I would summon Vmon because I'm friendly and relaxed, and Vmon would be a pretty cool Digimon to be my partner. Peace sign emoji.
Japanese Ally at Ally_Japanese said, I honestly don't care. I just want a new Tomodachi. Did you want to think evolved Tomodachi? So.
Yeah.
I get the words Tomodachi and Tamagotchi confused. Tomodachi is his friend, so
yeah.
So they're both that. They're both.
Yeah, anyway. Honestly, I got that confused too. My bad.
Because everyone's been talking about Tamagotchis for because the recent Tamagotchis that come out. And honestly, when we learned the word Tomodachi in Japanese class in the beginning of college, I was like, why is it spelled differently than Tamagotchi? I'm confused.
Chef.
Only later did I realize that Tamagotchi is tamago means egg plus Tomodachi means friend. Anyway.
Aiko at Piongi Vase.
I guess.
I don't know. You can tell me how to pronounce your names. That's fine. Probably a Plotmon, and it would comfort me because I'm sad.
That's a good use for cats. There have been days where I've just been sad and Pixel's been like, I'm going to send you. And I'm like, cool. Some Jibanyan at Jibanyan Swag said, well, my emotions aren't really that compared to the Digimon I would summon, but it would be Shoutmon because he's my favorite. Hopefully he would be my partner and be really great buddies, just like in the anime. I mean, needing someone, desperately desiring someone to be your buddy is, I think, a valid thing for them to, I don't know. It has to be a Shoutmon who really wants to be buddies with someone, though.
Okay. Catherine at Kajape. I don't know. I'm really bad at pronouncing stuff. Part of me would want to part of me would want to pull a Takato and have a Digimon I made come to life. But if it had to be a real Digimon, I call with my emotions, it would probably be Wanyamon, because I would just want a friend I could count on for once. Wanyamon is the little blue, very baby one.
XXX Mist, XXX. See, every time I'm like, I can pronounce this, and I just like utterly fail to say 3 X's.
Just say X a lot.
Triple X, who is at Mist_XX, said, I would say Leviamon, even though I try, like most people, to be a decent person. I do find myself, I guess, envious. Let's say it was typoed. Envious of others at times, and Leviamon is the demon lord of envy. So, Leviamon, I'm pretty sure, is like giant, long thing. It's very scary looking.
Oh, cool.
I think it's a little extreme. I think we all experience envy to several different degrees, and I think maybe a little harsh on yourself to think that your envy is so strong you'd summon the demon lord of envy. Andrew L on Facebook said, given the fact that I'm currently stuck off work with a bad back, have to do a whole bunch of back stretches and exercises, oh god, Nanimon would show up and put me through my paces.
No, not Nanimon.
I feel sorry for you.
Yeah. Hannah G says, because I'm stressed out all the time, I'd probably get a Terriermon that would come and just tell me Momentai all the time. Then I'd hug him and all my stress would melt away since he's so adorable.
I feel like we all do need a Terriermon. You have like the devil and the angel. We need a Terriermon, a third shoulder for Terriermon to just say Momentai.
Oh.
That's what we need, but it's not what like
that's
our
not
emotions
what
would crave. So I don't know if it would be practical in this Digimon being pulled. Anyway, Justice L said, to be honest, I don't know. I'd like to think Adoramon because I'm confused and weak and don't know what the F to do. That's kind of Doraemon's role in that movie.
Oh, Dorumon, you're a cutie. LET says, Gatomon and be a cat because, man, all I really need in life is a cat if I'm being honest. That's our life.
Zeke V said, Doraemon, lay waste to everything in the area over my insane anger. I like the differing interpretations of what Doraemon represents.
Listen, Doraemon is a multifaceted
He's a very complex character.
Yeah. Derek C says, Bearmon with never-ending supportive motivation.
This has been an interesting experiment of like what people project onto Digimon.
Yeah, that's really what we learned
what the
here.
Digimon means to them. These are going to be hard to read because Tumblr is confusing.
Cool, we can do it.
So Wind O Electric said, I feel that it would be Doraemon. He is a reckless little brat that bites people constantly, but I... Oh, it got cut off. Tumblr is confusing.
Uh-oh.
But I feel... Oh, it's long. But I feel he would really help me in this situation since I'm like it in many ways, as in really childish, but responsible somehow. I have a feeling it would probably jump scare me by pulling my jacket really hard, making me lose my balance and say, hey, don't give up just yet. We're just getting started, and push me to continue trying to reach my goal.
That's a very elaborate interpretation of Dorumon, to be honest. Ribbons the Lopmon said Lopmon, shockingly, because it could help me not feel so lonely and give me somebody to cry with.
That's sweet. Sad, that's sweet.
Yeah, Lopmon's the alternate Terriermon.
The Terriermon without the Momentai.
Yeah.
Nocturnal Sleuth said, probably Neo Devimon because I'm constantly suppressing my emotions and putting on a mask to try and make other people happy. I don't know much about Neo Devimon.
I didn't know that. What is it?
I think I've seen them before. I just like things that are Neo. They're kind of just Devimon, but cool, actually.
Yeah, I think that's what I just gathered.
Oh, I see. They're in V-Tamer. Maybe they're a prominent character there. I wonder if that's this is kind of tangential, and I wouldn't have anywhere else to mention it, but there was an interview this past month in V-Jump with the mangaka of V-Tamer 01 and a producer for Hacker's Memory, and the Kenji Watanabe, the main Digimon character designer. So it was like in there because there was a new manga for Hacker's Memory and the anniversary of the V-Tamer 01 manga. And it was really, really interesting interview because all three of them had lots of experience with the franchise, and there's lots of interviews of Yabu Sensei. I'm not saying this. Yabu? I think it's Yabu Sensei. Yeah. And there's lots of interesting insight, and I translated a bunch of highlights, and you can find them. The Padage's Twitter account retweeted that. But it's one of the interesting things was things like, apparently there are a lot of character designs that are original to V-Tamer, which I didn't realize, like Arcademon? It's pronounced... It's Arkhaid. If you look at the Bandai Namco tweets, It's this really weird, gross-looking monster thing that is one of the new Digimon featured in Hacker's Memory, which I don't think it's been in any other Digimon game before. And it was an original design for V-Tamer. It's really weird. And
Yeah, but when is Viz going to publish V-Tamer?
keep writing in, and maybe it's hard to convince people to do it, but keep writing in, and that'll help. But yeah, so one of the things is there are a lot of designs that Watanabe had already designed originally, like as the example they mentioned was Angemon, that Watanabe designed Angemon, and then Yabu Sensei for the manga designed like the upgraded evolved version for the manga, like Holy Angemon or Magna Angemon. So I'm wondering if this is another one like that, since it mentioned that it was only primarily in that. Anyway, so maybe like Devimon was an original Watanabe design, Neo Devimon was for the manga. Maybe.
Yeah, but Neo Devimon is cooler. I don't care.
Right. Sorry, that was a tangent about that stuff, but it was a cool interview and definitely worth checking out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And it's kind of the first like interview that I was able to read in Japanese. It took a lot of work, a lot of things I had to look
Jeff
up.
stayed at work
Yeah, I said it worked at like
late
8 o'clock.
because he was just translating this interview. Like I could see him tweeting it, and I was like, "Do I want to know that Jeff is like not?"
We keep going. Metal Empire said Sukumon or Sukumon, because I'm a piece of shit. If that's a genuine emotion, I'm sorry, but it's
But it made Jeff laugh.
It's a good ship post, literally.
Oh goodness. Enchanted Cass said, Black War Greymon, because I'm confused about my purpose and my future. Also, I'm angry a lot because of that. I like it, yeah.
I like Black Pokemon.
Yeah.
Goma Duck said, definitely Gomamon to keep me company and help me get through my problems, mainly emotional.
Is the Goma and Goma Duck a reference to Gomamon? I just assumed so.
Yeah, I guess this is like, what is your favorite Digimon? And like,
Yeah.
so many that are based on are already part of the names. Baby Muriel said, Betamon because he's gentle and kind. Oh.
But he's never jealous.
Is that a lyric?
No. Neogaki says, Sukumon or Numamon, because I'm trash. Oh, y'all have this similar feeling among you.
Another trash post. The Pokemaniac Sia said, probably Penguinmon or Muchomon. I don't know Muchomon.
Ooh, who's Muchomon?
Probably don't have time to look into this. Oh, this is strange.
I'm scared.
This is not a Digimon we're aware of. Scrolling. Patero Bat said probably Psychmon. Psychmon, I don't know if you've seen before, it's like an alternate skin of Gabumon. It might be a little bit differently. I'm not sure if it might be like a Terriermon Monster Edition where there's like another feature, but I think it might just be a reskin. Anyway, they say probably Psychmon since I'm shy like Gabumon and love both dogs and reptiles, but I also love incredibly garish color schemes. There's a Psychmon that is a main partner in Hunters. Anyway.
Always Full Metal Heart said, Gomamon for sure. He can make me food when I'm too busy to make my own, as proven by Try. And he's always sure to cheer me up whenever I'm having a Joe panic moment. Yeah, but is Try real? Like...
Yes. Castle Alarm Clock said, as much as I want to say Angelomon because she's my favorite, it would have to be Patamon because of how unrealistically optimistic I am, and when I'm not, who can't help but smile with an adorable flying pig on your head? Digimonstrosity said, Angelomon to quell my insatiable lust. Actually judging a little bit for that, but good response. Tumblr's confusing. Keys Ree said, hopefully probably Wizardmon. I'd summon him with his really unhealthy obsessive love, and he'd run around learning about the human world, leaving me in the dust. Oh.
You know, just Wizardmon things. Yeah. Fabumon 3 said, Guillaumon. I always think Guillaumon is my comrade Digimon, so I wish this come true someday.
You just need to wait for the Digigates to open.
I mean, I want a Guillaumon too, but that doesn't mean that's what I'd get. And I'm a very angry person.
Finally, we got some voicemails. The first one is from Tsurugi from the Withwell forum. So here is their voicemail.
If my emotions summoned a Digimon to the real world, it would probably be Guilmon. And after firing a few fireballs in case he was a bit grouchy on his way in, we'd probably hang out, get some bread, maybe relax a little. Because I want to be on his good side if he starts shooting fireballs.
Nah. Just use his fireballs to make the bread.
This made me realize that that's the perfect answer. Because, yeah, the Digimon that I would end up summoning would be a Digimon I could get bread with. That would be my Digimon.
That's true.
That is my Digimon.
Jeff does really like bread.
Oh my god, all the challah in Israel. Oh my god, too much challah. So much challah.
And yet not enough challah.
I didn't get enough challah. I'm annoyed by it. I should have got more challah. That should have been a mission from the start. And then we also got a voicemail from Rocky. Let's see what this is. Let's open this.
From Rocky
Let's open
Balboa.
this ritual letter. Either Rocky Balboa or Rocky the Trainer from...
Well,
Yeah.
he was clearly just an anime version of Rocky Balboa.
Here we go.
Hey, what's going on? This is Rocky Balboa. I'm
Oh,
here
man.
talking on the Pod Digi Show. A long-time listener, first-time caller. Me and my wife Adrian listen to the podcast all the time, every Sunday morning. Well, Adrian, she's passed on, so I kind of go visit her gravestone. I give her one of my earbuds, and then I listen to the other. It's real cute. So what was I saying? I'm here to answer this week's weekly question. So here we go. I'm just gonna get up on my phone here. If your emotions summoned a Digimon to the real world, what Digimon would it be, and what would that Digimon do? Well, I'm a pretty dedicated guy. I used to fight a lot, but if you've seen the movie Creed, that I'm not much of a fighter anymore. But I'm a very passionate guy. I'm a salt of the earth kind of guy. I like the. Is there a Punchy-mon? Is there a punch? I'll be that Togemon. I'll be Togemon. But he's a big cactus, and he would go around being just, a dedicated guy, dedicated cactus. I don't know. Is Polly's robot a Digimon? I'll be the Polly's robot Digimon. Anyway, I gotta go eat some raw eggs or something. So, catch you later, Bud Digis.
You have spoken to my Philadelphia heart.
I was like expecting there to be several references that were just referring to Philadelphia things to appease you, Ashley.
Please.
Like, I would be like, I just need to get my cheesesteak and my pretzel and run up the steps and...
Philadelphia's greatest sports figure is a fictional character.
Yeah.
And we'll never get over it.
Aren't people excited about the Eagles this season or something like that?
Yeah, we're 10-2. EAGLES
I didn't go down
Eagles.
this route. I haven't actually seen any.
You've never seen a single
Rocky
Rocky movie?
I was like, so is that
Alright,
the name? Is that
where-
the name of the wife?
Yes!
Does the wife die in the movies? Or is the actress? Has the actress died?
I feel like there was a plot.
You should know. See, I now called you out, and now you don't know. I've questioned your Rocky knowledge.
You know what? We're done because you haven't watched a single Rocky movie.
The actress is alive, so the answer is that.
No, I'm pretty sure there's a plot where she gets sick.
The final scene in Rocky 2 in which Rocky yells, "Yo, Adrian, I did it." It's apparently a thing. Anyway, okay.
Adrian!
It's weird. We don't no more voicemails from Davis, but now we got this new listener, Rocky, calling in from the fictional universe.
I mean, he's our fictional.
It's good that we've gotten Digimon in the fictional universe of Rocky.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's the crossover.
We've gone long. We have 10 minutes left for the bulk of that. Okay. Let's go through this quickly. I had some follow-up that I wanted to talk about from reading A.R. Pulver's System Restore blog reviews after we record the episode. Trying to think how I can get through this quickly because we've got much other stuff to get through. Okay, so I'm just going to read. So he had some systematic comments about the arc structure, which I thought were interesting. So he said, this is from the review episode 9, which was the Neon episode?
The best episode.
I think so. Anyway, it says, this week on CSI Tokyo, the Data Squad is investigating someone who may be abusing a Digimon's power in order to secure a fame and or fortune. Is this getting repetitive? Nah, it's only the third time they've used this plot. Unless you count the kid that didn't want to feed the rabbits, which was pretty much the same thing. Repeating the same angle over and over again almost makes you long for the endless stream of kids getting into trouble and getting bailed out by previously unforeseen evolutions. Or Koji. That's what we have been asking ourselves. That's what we have to be asking ourselves at this point. The early episodes of Data Squad are decidedly not good. The conflict is always against the Digimon either helping a human out or causing random destruction. There isn't any real character development going on, nor are we learning a whole lot about any of the three. We learn as much about Thomas this episode. This is actually from the Rocky episode. As we learned about Yoshi's last time. None of this is advancing the main plot, or rather, none of this is getting us anywhere closer to introducing the main plot. And then for further in the review. Episodes 6 through 8 seem to be so this is referring to like the rest of the structure of the rest of the seasons. Episodes 6 through 8 seem to be par for at least throwing us a bone plot-wise. Devimon and Grumblemon show up for the first time in seasons 1 and 4. In season 2, the Digimon Emperor's identity is exposed. In season 3, Takato has to deal with the ramifications of Guilmon's evolution. None of these are great episodes, nor do they signal a rise in the action or the quality, but they all serve to take us away from the starting line. We don't get anything like that this season. The run of monotony continues right up until the point where the series takes its first major turn, which he's referring to the Marukimon stuff at the beginning of the next arc episode.
Marukimon!
Spoiler alert, Ashley really likes Marukimon.
I really like Marukimon.
And then he continues, so that turn is equatable in the where it happened this season to Juggernaut's activation in season 3, and the death of Angemon in season 1, and the death of Sarakumon in season 4. And so I think those are some good points. I think we see a lot of the same things, but came to different conclusions. I came to the conclusion that so it definitely takes longer for the series to get started. I think that's definitely I think the way he looks at the structurally where the different series are at different points in episodes is good. I disagree with the decidedly not good conclusion though, because I think these episodic episodes, the episodic run of Data Squad, I find a lot more interesting than the other seasons because it is not just because we get to see See, I'm conflicted because I like the attempt at doing these character studies in interesting characters like the Boxer, Neon. The fact that I can't recall the others is not a good sign.
Really good.
Not a good sign. But I'm already hedging because I'm like, I like that attempt. It wasn't a very good attempt. They didn't nail it. They didn't hit it out of the park. It was like kind of a swing and a miss, but worthwhile attempt. I think that even though it takes longer to get started, is more interesting than just like random monster of the week that doesn't really traditionally get character growth of like the main characters in those episodes in the beginning of the season, and I think that's something that Data Squad has definitely lacked. I commented on this in a future episode, but it's like I feel like Data Squad excels in a lot of fronts, but decidedly not in the character development front and the likable character front, and it's just
Sure.
Yeah, so it's like I like
Frontier didn't either.
Yeah.
And Frontier, the problem with Frontier is that it never does. But Data Squad, at least somewhere in these episodes, I was like, okay, this is okay. Keenan is good. Marukimon is good.
We haven't even gotten to Keenan yet.
Whatever.
This is episodes 6 through 11.
I don't remember what happened in this episode. Those episodes suck.
See, I still think it's a much more interesting framing for the quote unquote filler episodes that Digimon tends to need.
What happens in episode 11? I thought at this point I was like episode 10 and 11 were like okay.
Right, I think you did start to like those. 10 was the one where you fought the boat, which
well that's just funny.
I think the whole episode was pretty funny, and I think it was a little bit funny in Japanese where there a lot of the things that Christy or Chika in Japanese says. And then the things that actually happen to him are more pun related more pun based in Japanese. But I think they still work pretty well in English in the dub. And the episode 11 was the horse racing. Devimon pooped darts in their butts. That one wasn't great.
That one's whatever.
Adam's reviews actually pointed out how like the string episodes before that tried to like the one with Yoshi, the one with Neon was like ostensibly about Yoshi, like it was about they're investigating a character who was related to Yoshi. The one with the Boxer was really investigating a character who's related to Thomas, and then the one with Christy investigating someone related to Marcus, and then the last one's just like
I mean, I guess I liked the Boxer one, but mostly because I liked the Boxer himself, like as a character.
I guess I really like that how that laid out. Like they were investigating and they were trying to figure out what's going on, and I just think it's such a more interesting framing for. It has so much more potential, but yeah, it's like okay, the potential wasn't really reached. But I think if there were to be good ideas to take from other seasons from this season of Digimon and use in future things, I wish they used that. I wish they used that kind of thing. And Atmon, kinda a little bit, not really. It's kind of different. Anyway. Moving on, so comments that people have left us. So this was from Tamer Theory in our Slack, and it was in regards to meeting your heroes, because we had the whole talk about meeting heroes, and I can't remember what we talked about. Anyway, So Tamer Theory says, I met Aaron Zek at my first Comic-Con last year, as well as the rest of Team Ruby. Blake is my favorite character, so I was excited, nervous, anxious, and buzzing all at the same time. When my time came to approach, I stumbled, fell forward, almost ended up tackling her, but just managed to catch myself, but ended up hugging her. She handled it fine, saying, hey, you could have warned me before doing that. All I could respond was, sorry, I love Blake, before we took our photo together. Memory stays with me every day, so embarrassed in front of my hero. How do you describe this emoticon? The crossed eyes, tongue sticking out?
Yeah.
XD.
Yeah, XD.
XD Gale of Darkness, the Pokemon game.
Yu-Gi-Oh! XD. Is that a Yu-Gi-Oh? It should
5Ds.
Oh, even better.
Zexal.
Zexal.
Arc 5. Vrains. Anyway, okay. So I thought it was an interesting comment because, like, when we're talking about meeting your heroes, like, the obvious, like, don't meet your heroes is about, like, how you will be disappointed in how they don't live up to your model of them. Whether that's as simple as, like, you put them on a pedestal and they aren't as godlike and amazing as perfect as you expect, or that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is like they will actually be outright villainous, which is a message in lots of media. But I think there's a whole other axis to look at things, which this reminded me of, that like I've definitely had the experience, and I think it's a lot more common and weird these days where like our heroes are a lot more approachable with internet media and internet content creators, where like
we think we could be them.
I think we could be, but I'm thinking more like that it is possible to meet your heroes a lot more than like when your hero is a voice actor for Ruby. It's a lot more possible to meet them than when it's like an actor in a movie. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, this like the situation that Tamer Theory is describing was an explicit, like, you know, like meet at a con and take a photo, whatever. But I'm thinking the experience I had was, there's basically a tech blogger and podcaster that I didn't admire them. I wasn't like, oh my God, you're amazing. But they were someone that I was like, admired to a certain degree, and had an opportunity after a live podcast. Like they hung around after the recording of the podcast and were talking to people, and people were going up and talking to them, and like I wanted to do that, and like at the last minute I just like totally chickened out and was like, I can't. Because I started to be like panicking about like, I don't have anything to talk to him about. Like, what am I gonna say to like, what am I to him? And then like I kind of like sent me into a depression for like a day because I was like, and then I stopped listening to podcasts for like 3 days because like I can't listen and I just learned that like there's a weird like sometimes you want to meet these heroes and you want to become friends with them, but like the way that happens isn't through like a forced like meeting and then being like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool, we're gonna become friends now. Like, I don't know. It's anytime you put people on a pedestal like that, like you kind of like hope you can have a real interaction and a friendship, but like it'll never come from like a real friendship can only come from being somehow finding a situation where you are somewhat equal.
I suppose.
Sometimes those things can happen through ways that are orthogonal to the pedestal relationship. I don't know. Yeah. I think for like podcasts, it's more and more possible with like Twitter and stuff, and like you can like interact with people in ways where like, because in some ways like following someone who has like 1 million followers on Twitter, like you're putting them on a pedestal. Is that like you're kind of always meeting your heroes on Twitter these days? It's weird.
I guess. I mean, the issue is that I don't interact that way on Twitter. I'm normally like, yeah, why would I reply to this tweet? Like, this person who's really big doesn't care about hearing my opinion normally, so.
Yeah.
I do the same thing on Twitter.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot more approachable on Twitter because it's like, it's a simple, basic, short thought. And then I can like weigh that. I'm like, is this thought worth hearing? And I think a lot of people on Twitter, especially a lot of like tech or mostly gamer bros, are really bad about weighing like how valuable that thought is. Like they'll make a joke, which is the obvious joke that like everyone's already made before, and they're like, this is definitely worth that person saying, hit send.
Yeah. And
so that's definitely the one end of the spectrum, which I think is bad. But like, I think it's much more easy to be like, okay, here's this thought. Is this thought, do I think it's thought is worth hearing? And you can weigh. It's a lot easier than like, should I introduce myself to this person? And like, also the lesson that I took away, which is to not introduce myself, like whatever, like that was not a good lesson to have learned. Like what I should have done is just been like, hi, I really like your podcast. It's cool. Here's the thing I like about it. And then they would be like, oh, cool. What do you do? And then like, yeah, it was silly. I'm just not good at that. Anyway, so we do need to breeze through things. We've gone on long for time. We have questions to get to. So XXX missed. XXX said they did think that the Thomas part with Sarah was a bit weird, but they didn't find the episodes creepy overall. That stuff. that episode came out while we were in Israel, and then a couple of days later, the stuff with the Rurouni Kenshin author came to light, and like
I don't know. I stand by my comments.
I mean, so my main impression was that like Christy having a crush on Thomas felt totally natural, totally plausible. Nothing that she did was out of line, and I don't think Thomas really reciprocated that too much. Like, I don't think there was anything particularly creepy about the way Thomas approached Christy. But even just the imagery of, like, Thomas giving flowers to Christy in light of that, the Rurouni Kenshin author stuff.
I was much more freaked out by the
stuff with Sarah and Thomas is much weirder, and, like, she's flirty with him, and he's, like, again, it's like him having a crush on her is not super weird. It's a little weird, but, like, her flirting with him is...
Yeah, I guess, like, Thomas people are like, no, he's just looking for a mom, and he's happy to have a mom. And I'm like, that's not how it comes off to me.
I think it's both. Like, it's, like... There's like flirty and like crush-y vibes, but yeah, in the abstract, he is like endearing that he's found a family.
His story arc is this, so you're supposed to be like, that's fine.
No, I just think like I get both vibes from it. That like in the abstract, he has found a family and he fits into a family, but on like lots of details of it, feel like she's flirting with him and he is crushing on her, and that just the age difference is weird. I just need to read that XXX Miss said that they disagree with Asher. Jeff is right. Anything and everything can and will be Danganronpa. And they said a Digimon / Danganronpa crossover fic actually sounds interesting. Didn't you and Ash start writing that?
Well, yeah, because I read this comment and I was like, you know what, Asher would be down for this. So we've started plotting that out. We've only done it for like 20 minutes, but hopefully we actually write a Danganronpa Digimon crossover fic for y'all.
And the last thing I wanted to read from Mist was, they said, I believe it is correct to say that it makes sense that Data Squad doesn't always immediately figure out a Digimon is the problem, since we, the viewer, are shown what happens with the Digimon, but they have more limited knowledge to go off of. And I think that's totally true. I thought my conclusion was that, like, it's plausible in universe of the Data Squad to be slower to pick up on things. I just question the entertainment value of that, of us always being ahead of them. But I liked Asher's point at the time, which was that, like, part of the enjoyment for things like this targeted to a younger audience than shows. I might be thinking more older shows, but to a younger audience, a lot of the appeal comes from being smarter than the characters, taking some kind of like enjoyment in that, like being a step ahead of them and like watching them get to the point where you are and feeling smarter than them. So that's probably fair. And yeah. Kiwara, I'm going to skim through the comments, but they said that it's interesting to see what the dub decides to keep and what it changes. And at first they found Barmananimon to Suchimon pretty ridiculous, but then they got used to it. And then then afterwards they find it kind of strange that they keep the Violmon episode because, so they said, but it could so easily be misconstrued as Satan worshipping with a baker that I'm really surprised Disney let it through. And they're also happy that they kept Manju and didn't change it to like jelly donuts.
It is true that they make like really weird choices. Like keeping Manju is the thing that seems really strange about this to me. I'm like, all right, you think?
I think that's just like a harder thing. Like I guess they could have made it donuts. Manju seems like a weird. Like I feel like they could have gone from like a bun, like called it pork buns or something. Called it something. It's like a more common, like food item that we're used to seeing here in Asian culture, but yeah, the comment about Vilemon and devil worship, like or Satan worshiping, yeah, I don't really. That's one of those things. Like I briefly alluded to, like a lot of the things that we feel the need to censor for a U.S. or English audience, I find pretty ridiculous, and like Satan worshiping stuff, like because I feel like most of the concern over that stuff is like if it's shown, that'll inspire kids to do it.
Yeah,
it just feels so. She feels so bogus to me. Like, so what if it is like it's not going to give it meaning? Especially stuff that was like wrapped up in like protesting Harry Potter, because it's like if people start waving wands around, like that's not sacrilegious. Ugh. I mean, that just seems
We're all going to hell.
I don't know. I don't want to like with a broad brush say it's not sacrilegious, but it just seems like so any kind of religion that is so strict that's like if you even do this one thing, that's contradicting religion when it's such a minor like play acting thing. It's very frustrating. And like needing to censor like just especially nowadays like the kind of violence that is totally acceptable in like the movie rating system, like no nudity at all, but like tons and tons of violence and no cursing. Like it's just like it's all hypocritical and like weird sensibilities, and it's all.
I mean, people
wrapped
have
up in,
always
like-
criticized that it's like, oh, you're allowed to see somebody get their like head blown off, but gosh forbid you see them in an intimate situation where they possibly like love each other. It's cool, like.
So let's move on to comments because we're running over. So Corey to Prime on Twitter, this was actually submitted last time, but we didn't get to it, asked, Geo Greymon's design compared to OG Greymon, yay or nay? Should they have just still been called the redesigned Greymon? Yay or nay? Greymon or
Geo Greymon is cooler.
Geo Greymon's definitely cooler. I think there's actually a social media post that's going up soon that's like Greymon versus Swole Greymon.
Yes.
Is that a Swole
Facts.
Greymon? Yeah, I really like Geo Greymon. It just feels like a better, more modern, like a Greymon design with modern sensibilities. Because like I don't know the exact history of Greymon's design because it was like originally like a VPET thing and the car. I just feel like it's Geo Greymon just more of like a modern thing designed for the anime, thing designed to look cool.
I guess it is confusing that it's like we have this Agumon with slight modifications from old Agumon, but he's still called Agumon, but now they call him Geo Greymon.
The weirder thing is like when it comes to the Cross Wars anime, and there are a lot of designs in the Cross Wars anime that retain the original
That's
name.
not Greymon.
So I just opened on the computer that actually I can see what is Greymon parentheses Cross Wars or Greymon parentheses like whatever 2011 anime, which looks much more divergent from original Greymon than Geo Greymon, but it's still called quote unquote Greymon. So that's the real main like point of contention and the weirdness that like in this era of Digimon they decided to use a totally different name if the design diverged a little. And then in a later phase of Digimon, they decided to change designs a ton and keep the same name. It's weird once you have both of those design philosophies packed into the same franchise. So, yeah, looking back, probably should have just been New Greymon. The other one should have been... I feel like they both should have just been different kinds of Greymon. You know, like they both look divergent enough. People haven't seen the Crossword Greymon. It's like, it's blue, has metal
Head
head.
is totally different.
Yeah, it's totally different. CC Takado on Twitter asked, which Agumon will win in a crossover showdown? Tai's Agumon, Marcus's Agumon, or the Atmon Agumon? And so for context, I don't know how much context I can give about Atmon Agumon without spoiling it. I don't think it's not like plot relevant, but it might, if you don't want to know who the Atmon Agumon is or like where he comes from, whatever, skip ahead a couple minutes. But Atmon Agumon is like from a...
He's from Witchelney.
So it's like in the world, I forget exactly what they call it, but it's like basically the equivalent of the Digimon Adventure PSP game exists in Atmon. And I may be missing some details because I watched without any subtitles in my limited understanding of Japanese. But like, I don't think, it's not explicitly said, like, I don't remember if they say the name of the title. They don't call like Digimon Adventure, but Agumon makes several references. He's basically from the video game and then like manifests in the real world because of an Atmon interfering with game stuff. And he actually like remembers Haru's progress in the game and is like, oh, you're the one who like failed against Edamon hundreds of times. And I forget, he mentioned another adventure villain. So it's like clearly in Agumon's game, you fight adventure villains. So presumably it's the adventure PSP game, roughly. And he also has the ability to, in the episode Digivolve, support Greymon without a Digivice.
Cool.
So crossover showdown, I'm just not particularly interested in like fight, that kind of like who win in a fight kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't know. I guess Marcus's because that Agumon's all about fighting and punching things, and Tai's Agumon's all chill. And I don't know anything about Atmon Agumon except that he's from a video game, so he's an NPC. Who cares?
I'm most interested in like who is the coolest. Who do I like the best?
Who's the coolest?
I think in that context, I like Marcus's Agumon best.
No.
I feel like he has the most fun personality.
Can't stand his nostrils.
His personality has nostrils, actually.
I don't care. His personality is whatever, too.
I feel like Agumon in the original adventure was like never, like would never be like Agumon's our favorite character. In
No, absolutely
episodes.
not.
But I feel like, but he's actually, this Agumon has stood out from.
No.
It might just be the other characters don't stand out.
Murukimon's best.
Okay. And Atmon Agumon, that episode was pretty well done, but wasn't like the highlight of the series. I don't remember having. It was. I don't know. Like there were a couple jokes that were really well done, but CC Takado's answer, they said that they would say Atmon Agumon because he seems to be the one who has his shit most together. I guess so. Again, I kind of don't want to conclude what I know about the mechanics of that without having been able to actually understand all the words that were said. Anyway, and May from Lost Translation also replied and said, personally, they think Atman Agumon because he doesn't need a partner. Yeah, and I forget what the exact mechanics were.
Wow, partnership only makes you stronger.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, but if you can also get to Mega without a partner, then...
No. That's not the point of Digimon. Have you been watching this show at all?
See, also, what I kind of remember at the end of Data Squad, I remember like Atmon, I remember Marcus Agumon being useful in a fight without Digivolving. I forget. Anyway, Cars of Favorite asked, how did Jeff's Japanese test go? It was fine. There are 3 sections. The first one I think I did really well on. It's also the easiest. The second one should have been fine, but you get completely disqualified if your phone makes any noise whatsoever, any vibration whatsoever. And somehow with my phone, I turned it off completely and it turned itself back on midway.
That's what Jeff gets for buying a new iPhone.
I don't know. I don't think that's why. I don't know what happened there. It was a weird situation. And it didn't vibrate again, but it just freaked me out so much because I was worrying that it could go off repeatedly if I got a bunch of Twitter likes or something. Like, it was set to like vibrate every time I got something like that, and like I was like so on edge, it freaked me out. And the second section should have been fine, and I ended up rushing at the end. I don't think I got stuff wrong up until the last 2 questions I had to rush through, but like, and the third section was listening, and I'm just terrible at listening. And she finds it funny that I say I'm terrible at listening. It's just really hard to, I don't know. I've been watching episodes of Digimon Sabers in Japanese, and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like it's actually one of the best things to practice because I will have watched them in English recently and then watch in Japanese. Then it's still really tough. I don't know how to get better at listening comprehension. But I don't find out the results of the test until February. So, ugh. And the last question is from the Homonautic and said, which continuity would you want to live in?
What are you referring to?
I think of the Digimon seasons. The thing is, like, the human world in all the seasons doesn't feel that divergent, except for the 0-2 getting Digimon integrated in the epilogue.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, like the human world doesn't really feel too different. And
I like Tamers because
Digimon
it has a
world
card game.
They all have card games.
No, but
like,
it's integrated into the plot.
I'm just like, if you were to live in that world, it's not like you wouldn't. It's not like if you lived in the Digimon Data Squad world, there wouldn't be card games.
Digimon card games?
If that's how you have to guess, like, okay, if I lived in Digimon Data Squad, I couldn't play Digimon card games. You don't play, Digimon card games exist in real life and you don't play it?
Yeah, because it's not good.
So that's the condition. In the Digimon Tamers universe, the card game exists and is good.
Sure, and Rika's good at it.
Okay. But also Rio exists.
You do make good points.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I mean, I think the more interesting lens to look at this question is like the digital worlds.
Okay, the digital world.
I feel like Frontier is the only one that presents like towns that feel like they would be at least slightly comfortable to live in.
They don't make any sense.
They don't make any sense, and like, you know, like things like Galmon just walking around doesn't, like, the world doesn't make sense, and like we don't see places. We see like hubs of commerce, not places of living. So like they don't make sense of towns. Lots of things don't make sense, but at least there are towns. Like the most we see
There are trains.
Yeah, there are trains. You just live in trains. Everyone's just a hobo.
Cool.
And like the most we see that in Adventure is like communities of all the same Digimon. You know, they sometimes have living quarters, the Shogungekamon, like Palace and 0-2 and stuff, and an original Adventure. But so I guess I'd say Frontier. I don't know.
That's a bad answer.
It's not a great answer. There aren't great options.
You know, Tamer's got Babamon and Digimon or whatever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They got one house there?
They got one house there?
Is there one house in the entire Digimon Tamers universe?
No, they go to other people's houses. They go to when Guilmon gets possessed.
Yeah, they got that one town that felt like it was out of the Adventure universe. Like everyone just being the same homogenous town.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all we got for questions. If you want to send us questions to answer on the next episode, we will accept them and add them to the doc for the next episode at any point. So you can send it to us on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, any other comments you have, you can also send to us. You can leave them in the comment section for this episode, poddigest.com/502.5. And you can also send your thoughts to Poddigest on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, or poddigest@gmail.com.
Special thanks to Xtyranimon for our Season 5 Agumon artwork, and a quick shout out to our Champion, Ultimate, and Mega supporters on Patreon, the infamous Diab Joemon, Joe Keto, Kai Lunamon, Sam Kuagumon, Andy Lusamon, Dave Grauman, and Marcus.
And if people want to follow us on social media, I am definitely Jeff on Twitter. Ashley, where are you?
I'm AshMcD00 on Twitter.
And stay tuned tomorrow for our main Data Squad podcast covering episodes 12 through 18, aka Ashley's obsession with Marugimon. Bye!
Bye.
And remember, never stop digivolving.